Welcome to the Real Room. Real people, real challenges, real discussions, real answers. Really,
Really?
really.
Okay.
Welcome. We have two very special guests today. Us,
Hi,
not so
I'm
special, but
Lillian.
and I'm Mike. Hi.
Yeah. So as we have mentioned before on our podcast, periodically we will have guests on that we interview, and then there will be times like today where we have picked a topic that we really think is relevant and something that a lot of people seem to be needing right now. And so we'll pick that topic, and Mike and I will just have a discussion about it as you listen in. And hopefully, you're going to be able to walk away from this podcast with some nuggets that are going to help you. What's our topic today, Mike?
Stress. That is the topic, and boy, it's a big one. And why
Anybody
it's
have stress?
yeah.
We had our share already this morning, just trying to put this podcast together.
Yes, echo issues. What else?
So that's why we're sitting here together. Normally, we have separate spaces, separate computers. And for those of you who listen to the podcast on Anchor, you probably heard this echo, and we're clueless. I cannot figure it out. I've looked up YouTube videos, I have done every setting possible. So it is what it is. So we're stress free now because we're just going to sit here and have a conversation about stress.
That's right.
And hopefully, like I said earlier, you'll be able to walk away with some nuggets that will help you.
If I want to avoid stress, I avoid tech because we don't get along too good. Another story for another day.
Another story for another day. Mm-hmm.
So
It's
about
kind of like,
stress.
well, wait a minute. We joke about that. What is it? Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
So we have something in our household called Mike Smith Law. So especially with technology, if it's going to go wrong for someone, it'd be him. So Mike Smith Law.
I'm a little behind. I know.
Or driving, or ordering things in a restaurant, which we don't go to restaurants much, but if they're going to get it wrong, it's going to be on his order. Anyway, that can create a lot of stress in your life, especially if you're driving.
Yes.
We had some conversation about that when we did the anger subject, because we were talking about levels of disrespect that people may be feeling, and that's why they get rageful on the road.
Right.
Anyway, let's talk about stress.
Yeah. So we live in a world of stress, that's for sure. And I believe that it's normalized right now because we're getting like rapid fire intake from all kinds of social media platforms and all these other things that are happening right now. It's normalized. We don't realize how much stress we're under and how much we're reacting in a stressful way.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you agree that stress is basically a part of life anyway? It's just really about how we manage it.
That's true. And there's good stress.
Or how long you have it. That's when it creates the problem. Because if you go in and out of stressful situations and you can manage it well, you're going to fare so much better than if it is prolonged. I thought about as we were just really talking about the possibility of picking this topic and talking about it. We used to do a seminar or like a conference or a 3-hour workshop or something like that on stress. You remember that?
Yes.
And one of the pictures that we used, or an analogy kind of thing, and we had people participate with that. Remember, I had somebody come up and they were holding a glass of water. And of course, when they volunteered to do this, they thought they were just going to be holding the glass of water for a couple of minutes while I was doing some sort of introductory thing, and then they would be able to just sit down. But I kept teaching. I was like, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?" Right? Remember this? And like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay." But as time went on, I mean, they started like holding their arm up with the water and just looking for a place where, is it okay for me to sit this down? Or like, no, just a couple more minutes, just a couple more minutes. And really, I want to say, how long would I have them stand there and hold that?
Oh, it's quite a lot.
5 to 10 minutes,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And by the time it got to that 10 minutes, they were like agonizing. They couldn't wait to put that glass of water down. So it wasn't so much the glass of water, because it certainly wasn't heavy, but the fact that they had to hold on to it for that long became a problem. So that connected to what we're talking about here today, stress, is the longer you have to carry it, the heavier it becomes, and you're not able to deal with it properly, in a healthy manner, and then be able to walk away from that situation unscathed. Let's use that word, because stress can be detrimental to our health too. I mean, we're all about body, soul, spirit. So the longer you hang on to stress, the more detrimental it's going to be even to your physical health and well-being, which we know statistically, people that are in our hospitals and, dealing with strokes, heart issues, all of that can be, some of it can be connected to stress, unresolved issues in their past, like unforgiveness, bitterness.
Yeah, I was discussing this with a group of people at a facility not long ago, and there was a combination of emotional, mental, physical things going on. So we looked at it like we have this tree, so to speak. So we have all these roots. We discussed some things like, childhood traumas, things that were done to them or held from them, so to speak. And some of these little traumas, parents arguing, money dealings, things like that, how the family dealt with stress. And I said, okay, all those things are the roots, and that's bad soil there. So, you're like the tree itself, and then the leaves that come out are all those negative things. And those leaves are green. So those things are blooming a lot when you get older. You don't realize just how much those stressors have come up, like the sap through the tree, through the roots. And then they come out in your life.
Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking of as you're sharing that is not necessarily leaves, but I'm thinking about fruit. So depending on what's being nourished and what your root system is, what the soil is, you're either going to bear good fruit or bad fruit. And the Bible talks about that. We want to bear good fruit, which comes from the Holy Spirit, the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But if we don't have, what we need that sets us up for actually bearing that good fruit, then it's going to be negative. Yeah. It's going to be ugly. Or like you said, the leaves. What are the leaves going to look like? Are they vibrant? Are they green? Is there life to them? Or
if they're negative leaves and they are green, they're not going to want to fall off. So we need to know how to take those leaves off too. So our life is, the tree is full of these.
Yeah, there should be things that we should be letting go, which is kind of the cool thing about the seasons that God has created. And even here in Florida, we have seasons. And you see where the vegetation there, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
So the same thing is true for us too. There should be cycles that we go through of growth where we are getting better, and there are times to let go of things, and things need to shrivel up and die, and leave them behind us, and then move into the next season.
And we need to recognize those seasons too. There's those, like we say, there's a necessary ending to the leaves on the tree. It gets cold, they fall off, and then there's a time of regrowth. So we need to recognize what season we're in.
Yeah. So then what creates the stress? So with that picture that you just painted for us of the tree, so you're saying that if the root system is basically being choked out, strangled, whatever, that would be the stress in somebody's life, and then that could lead to things that are not supposed to be happening, or dying off too soon, or
absolutely. Then you add that in the past, what you have now, what's going on in your life now. It could be relational stress, financial stress, world stressors. Again, media. Being on social media is a huge stressor that we don't even realize. We're constantly scrolling, and our life is lived there. So we don't realize we're seeing all these different things go on. We're seeing some infighting on Facebook and whatnot. And then that's building in us as well. It's triggering all those old stressors. I saw this lady the other day who was pushing her young one in the stroller. Now I call that a scroller now because I rarely see someone pushing their
They're not
kid.
pushing a stroller, they're
It's a scroller.
being a scroller while they're
Yes.
walking their
So
kid. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was watching
Yeah.
her and she was walking along and I could see expressions on her face. And it was like she was stressing out over something. She really wasn't, with her child, so to speak. She was with whatever was going on in the feed.
Distracted, not present.
Right.
Okay.
And I thought about that and I thought there's so many things that can happen there. You can take that out on your child because you're stressing over something on Facebook. And I call it distraction destruction because other things can happen. As we've all heard, like somebody pushing their kid or walking their dog that are on their phone, they walk in front of traffic. So there's different destructive things that can happen, but I just saw that it just adds to what is already there. And with the life we lead now, which is not like fast forward, there's no time to breathe. There's no time to even figure out why we're stressed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you mentioned some of the types of stress. You said there's financial, relational, then there's the internal stress because you have unresolved issues, perhaps. So then what do we do?
Well, we first have to kind of audit where we're at. What's going on in my life right now that I can deal with? I scribbled down some things here, just some thoughts about it. Lots of scribbling here. There's so much that we can do with this.
Talk about stress for a long time.
And I call it with the stress issue, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, and we've all heard that. We're getting a little stress here, a little stress there, a little trigger here, a little trigger there, and all of a sudden we find ourselves.
And then so you haven't been able to, it's kind of like the pressure cooker, or, and not everybody's familiar with those, but with a pressure cooker, you're supposed to relieve that valve little by little. Otherwise, if it builds up, it literally explodes.
Yeah.
Which kind of connected to the anger that we talked about, a couple of months ago. Same thing. Build up, explosion. Okay, I feel better now. Build up, another explosion. The same thing happens with stress, but it is wreaking havoc in our lives, the physical aspects of it. Plus, if you're going to explode or you lose it, who's getting that, let's say, shrapnel?
That's right.
It's the people all around you, right?
Right.
So build up, and then, whoa, okay. And that looks different for everybody, but when we were talking about anger, that's a raging fit, or somebody else gets an attack or verbally assaulted, or the sarcasm comes out, or whatever. But with this, I would think that if someone is allowing stress to build up, then more than likely they look for relief.
Yes.
So where are they going to find that relief?
Anywhere they can. And a lot of times it's going to be unhealthy. It's going to be a quick fix relief. It could be sex, it could be pornography, drugs, fill in the Netflix binging, something like that. A lot of times it's going to be destructive.
Workaholism, getting involved in volunteering way too much. So trying to keep yourself distracted all the time, and you're just going to make matters worse.
Right.
Yeah, that just elevates the stress instead of bringing it down.
Yeah, those are all little dopamine hits. So we're just trying to get a little hit off something, good, bad, or in between.
Right.
And it never satisfies.
And the thing is, if that goes on for year after year after year after year, you end up with these neural pathways that are ingrained in your brain. So the physiological part of this is huge too, which is why we're doing like these limbic system rewiring, the brain rewiring, and how to detox physically, mentally, emotionally, and, for some people, even detoxing spiritually speaking, so that people can get some balance to their life, so that, they don't get stuck in a rut. And that will stay that way unless there's some sort of interventions. That's what we've discovered. That's what I get with trauma brain, and, people who have been addicted to certain things for a long period of time. Those neural pathways have got to be changed. So we've seen greater success if we deal with the brain along with the mind and the emotions and the other aspects of it.
Right, and that's the piece that's normally left out. Is
True.
was our the guy we follow, Dr. Daniel Amen, fantastic doctor, and he's done like 250,000 brain scans so far. And he said when he first got into psychology, he realized that the very thing they were trying to fix, they weren't scanning. Like other doctors, if you have a heart problem, we'll look at the heart. So they weren't doing this, and he realized that there's a thing called broken brain.
Yeah.
And that's an area, along with the others, we need to
Yeah.
check out. It's
Right.
multifaceted. Yeah.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to learn more about that, we're actually having a workshop if you're here in Southwest Florida, February 21st. It's just a morning, about 3 hours. We'll make sure that we post that in the comments underneath this video. But yeah, we'd love for people to come out to learn more, and we can actually introduce you to some modalities that we're using with people that are very, very helpful.
Yeah, and that's another thing that people don't realize. There's so many things available that can help. Simple modalities, sustainable, affordable, that just make huge changes. And we'll be doing some demos on those as well as explaining those too.
And we're firm believers in what the Bible says, that we're transformed by the renewing of our minds. But why not utilize all the tools that are available to us in this life to maybe push that forward or make it, speed up the process, so to speak? Because there have been many people that I've worked with over the years where I feel like, okay, we're working on the mind renewal thing, cognitive behavior therapy, and then we're also working on, the mind renewal that the Bible talks about and being able to embrace greater truths. But it just seems like if you add some of these other things, it really does speed up the process, and people are able to sustain their healing, sustain their recovery. I mean, it becomes something that is lasting, not just temporary. So I think hitting it from all angles, we're 3-part beings. Let's deal with all the parts, and we're going to see greater success.
Right.
We've already seen it.
Yeah.
So,
and then, couple that with something which is going to be another show, but it's something that we're very passionate about, and that's purpose. So if you're getting healing, and it's the same thing with addictions, you're not using a substance, so to speak, or something. Okay, now what? What's your purpose? Your purpose isn't to not touch something anymore. You were put on this earth for a reason. So not touching that or getting healing from that clears the way to find out. And when you have purpose, you have something pulling you along instead of you trying to look back and get away from something. So we're gonna have a whole show on that, but that's one of the key aspects for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically, someone who is not at a place where they have their toolbox that's filled, or they don't have a network of support, or they don't have all of these things that we're talking about right now. So we mentioned that their go-to would be like workaholism, gambling, pornography, the alcohol, the substance abuse. So on the day-to-day, so let's talk about some of the practical things and things that people that are listening, let's talk about some of the things that they can utilize so that ultimately you're never going to be able to get away from stress. So how do we deal with it on a day-to-day basis? What do we do instead of what we've always done, which is basically the definition of insanity? If you're looking for this different results, and you're never going to get a different result unless you change some things. So what are some things that we can encourage the audience to start using, or is there more that you want to explain about stress overall?
No, I mean, there is, but there's some really basic things we can do. And I think one of the things that starts the stress of the day is the night before. So we are not planning our day. We're running into the night without really knowing what's going on the next day. So as in scripture in Genesis, there was evening and then there was morning. So start planning the night before. Put your big 3 maybe for the next day, set your clothes out, do things like that that's going to bring the stress down. It's funny.
So you're not frantically running around in the morning, especially for people who have children. That's I can remember doing put the clothes out and everything for the kids and make lunches or whatever.
So even something like I'm trying to decide what to wear. What am I going to have for breakfast? Things like that. That sounds like a nothing, but it really is a something. When you put that all together, you start to build your stress. And then consistency in the morning. What time are you getting up? Same sleep
Having
time, same
rituals,
sunrise. Yes.
traditions that you follow through a schedule. That's
Right.
good.
Before,
But be flexible. Because if people are rigid about that, that can create more stress. Oh no, I didn't get to my X, Y, and Z. It ruins my whole day. So we're not about that. We're just about planning and preparing so that you're not entering into your day with that level of stress because you're having to make all these decisions all at the same time.
And-
So
yeah.
that's
and it's
good.
101, but planner. If you have it written down, you don't have to keep everything in your mind. Have your
That's
planner,
huge.
and everyone, has some way it works different. Some people are more granular, some people are more like, big picture, but have something in your planner so you can look at it.
And if if they are into technology, use your phone for that. Put it on your and color code it. I use my Google Calendar and everything is color coded. So this is going to be like Zoom. That's the color. It's Zoom or a phone call, and that's in yellow. Blue is somebody's going to be here. Purple means I'm going to go somewhere, so that I can just glance at my phone, my Google Calendar, whether that's on my laptop or my phone, and realize, okay, this is what my day is going to look like tomorrow. I check the weather too.
Be careful with that because Facebook will go, come here.
Ah,
And emails will go, hey, let's talk for a minute.
just
Right.
make
So you
sure
have to be
just get
careful.
it.
Yeah.
Right. But, and if you're scheduled and you've got a routine, try to stick to that as much as you can.
Right. Have a little.
But I'm just saying, technology isn't, the Satan. It can be used in a good way, but if you know that it's an area of weakness for you, then get the paper and don't even
That's
use
right.
that for
Yeah.
now. We're all different, and it's the other when you were talking about our differences, I was thinking about just temperaments and how we all function differently. So take that into consideration too.
Yeah. Know your weak points. If you're a person that gets up and wants to grab your phone right away, use the paper. Use the paper. But getting back to like winning the day, when you get up, take a minute as a believer. Take a minute before I get up and I pray. I put on the full armor and I give the day to God. I give you everyone and everything right now, and you lead me how you would lead me today to reach who you'd have me reach.
And if you're wondering what the armor, just in case you don't know, if you look in Ephesians chapter 6, that's the armor of God. You can read through that and just say it out loud. I'm putting, my helmet of salvation, my breastplate of righteousness, and I'm going to take up the shield of faith and have my sword, right, which is the word. But yes, that would be a great prayer to pray, or to actually read that portion of scripture out loud, and then get out of bed.
And the reason that the Apostle Paul uses that is because we can understand those were pieces that was literal armor.
Yeah.
The shield of faith, the shoes of peace. The shoes had spikes in the back, to stand firm. So there's all kinds of practical uses for it. So that's just another idea. And when you get up, take care of your body as well. Hydration is key when you get up.
And drink
Don't
water
go,
first thing.
Yes.
First
Don't go
thing.
for coffee.
No, that comes after the water.
Right.
Hydrate.
Right. A lot of, it's 101, but get some movement. Get out in the sun right away. That signals to your body. Get some light. It signals to your body it's time to get up. Same thing in the evening when the sun's going down. Try to get out there.
Negative 20 degrees out. I get it. And it's cloudy. Michigan people. Just do your best. Hey, invest in a sun lamp. We're all about light therapy and the benefits of that. So sit in front of your light for 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, no, don't make it too easy.
Do some hard things in the morning. If there's something you want to do in the morning, take on a hard task first. And then this is something that I really believe in is you have a to-do list, but have a to-don't list. What is it I don't need to do today? What is it that really does? Maybe it might be one of those distractions. I really don't need to do that. That's going to be a distraction. So your to-don't list. And the simple no. You can say no to something that might not be a return on investment for your day without having to explain it, without having any false guilt either.
And that would eliminate some stress.
Absolutely.
For sure. Saying yes to way too many things. You know, we do have limitations. You have limited mental capacity, energy, time. And I think oftentimes we are too quick to say yes. And I learned this lesson a long time ago. And what I do now is if somebody asks me something, it's, I'll get back to you. Let me think about it. I typically don't do an immediate yes unless I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's something that isn't going to take away from something that I'm already doing or leave me depleted to the point where, you know, it's not healthy. It's not good overall. Now, that's not to say as well that we don't sacrifice at times, because God will call you to sacrifice. And there will be things that he will have you say yes to. It feels like, wow, this is so stressful. And I do feel depleted, but it's what he wants you to do. And he's going to make sure that you're equipped to do it. And then he will make sure that you're refreshed and be replenished afterward. So it's not cut and dry. None of this is like cut and dry. It really takes listening to the promptings of God.
That's right.
As you pray about it.
That's
your
right.
yeses and your no's.
Yeah, when you set yourself up to hear God's voice in the morning, and then you can go with discernment.
And then I think the more that you understand yourself, I think that helps too. Because like we were saying, temperament and how God has wired you overall, I think that you learn over time, you know, how much you can handle and how much you cannot, because we are all different. You know, so some people, they can go 100 miles an hour for a week and then they crash. Okay. And then others, they need to have more of a steady pace. And then there are others, they need like a turtle pace, but and everybody accomplishes just as much. So there's no right or wrong here. It just is what it is, right? And I think the more we understand about ourselves, the better off we'll be too.
That's why even if you have something that's maybe more personalized, you're working on every month or even every week, do a little audit. What worked this week? What didn't? What were the big wins? What really drained me? I always say have a drains and a fills list. So this filled me this week and this drained me. Okay, what needs to go? It's good to do that weekly, because weeks turn into months, turns into years, and then you're on this treadmill of a life that's stressful and frankly, really things you don't want to be doing that are really have no return on investment.
I like using that. I know you shared that with me when you were, you know, learning the life coaching strategies and all of that. And I use that a lot with my clients, because I think a lot of them that are wore out, they're depressed or they're anxious. A lot of it has to do with their lifestyle and the things that they've been choosing to do for a very long time. And they've never taken the time to do exactly what you're saying. It's like, evaluate it. Okay. What in your day-to-day and just how you're living your life, are there things that you're doing on a regular basis that really, they wipe you out, they drain you? And it may be something like, for example, we can talk about, you know, even our own personal schedules and stuff. And it's like, you know, something that drains you may be something that fills me. So that's why you can't really compare and have like a set list that somebody else gives you. It has to be your list that you create. These are the things that wear me out. It drains me. And if you have a lot of those things that you know are going to be going on this week, then man, you better make sure that you've got some things in place that are going to fill you back up. So what drains you, what fills you, what refreshes you, what makes you feel full yet again, so that you can go back and pour out more, whether that's your energy or just, you know, all of that.
I say a couple of words. I use either lifestyle or life stifle. So is it a life stifle for me? Am I stifling, you know, what's in my heart, what I want to do, what brings life to me, where I feel most alive? Am I stifling that by, you know, the to-do list or, you know, excessive people pleasing. Think about that. There's a balance to it, of course, but really we need to ask the right questions and even ask questions to ourselves. We don't ask questions a lot. We just kind of roll with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then going back to the whole stress level thing, the more that you are aware of how God created you. So, for example, we always tell people, start paying attention to the fact of whether or not you are an extrovert or an introvert. Now, I think that a lot of people have the wrong definitions of those because I think, oh, an introvert, oh, they're just shy. They don't talk much. That's not what an introvert is. And you might be thinking someone's an extrovert just because they're funny, they're the life of the party, they're blah 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 blah. Not necessarily, because what if you're going to define it correctly, it's a matter of energy, right?
Mhm.
So an extrovert gains energy, so that would be a fill. We were talking about what drains you, what fills you. An extrovert can be around a lot of people and that just fills them up. And if they have too much alone time, they're drained and they feel wore out. So they've got to get out and be around people. And introvert is just the opposite. So they get replenished and they feel refreshed and they have to gain that energy back by being alone. They need more alone time. So that's just differences. And again, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
And we all have the capacity and the need to be both. We need to be out there in community. We need to be around people. And introverts will have a tendency to be like, no, I kind of like my little space over here because this just feels good. No, you have to go out and be around people. And the same thing with the extrovert. They need to be more intentional about spending time alone, especially in the word and being prayerful. So we need both. But if you understand that about yourself and you look at like you said, you look at your planner, you look at your Google calendar, and you have all of these events that are coming up this week and all these meetings, you better make sure that you incorporate some downtime if you're an introvert. Otherwise, you are going to burn out. And it would be just the opposite for someone who's an extrovert.
Yeah, with the introverts too. I mean, you may you enjoy being around people somewhat. If you don't recharge, it's going to create resentment towards people, and that you really don't want. But yeah, there has to be that balance. It might look like this sometimes. There's seasons of life or even seasons of the day, but we want to get close to this
center,
yeah.
Whatever your center
right.
is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that we all have a different definition of what balance is to our life too. And that's very individual. And again, don't let somebody put you in a box or say, here's the cookie cutter approach to this. And if you just do X, Y, and Z, then all's going to be well in your world and you won't, you'll be able to navigate through stress. That's not how it works. So we're here to give you some nuggets of truth and then also some tools so that you can experiment a little bit and also spend some time being introspective and figure out, okay, introvert, extrovert, okay, what fills me, what drains me. These are some things that are going to be invaluable as you move forward because you are going to have stress no matter what. You can't get away from it.
Right.
So what are some other things that you have? So you said the calendar planning the night before. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to yourself instead of listening to yourself so much. So yeah, so you want to talk to yourself with positivity. And if you're a believer, there's scriptural promises, talk to yourself, encourage yourself. Because a lot of the times the default is going to be discouragement. And that can start small. Stress can start with, see, I knocked something, oh, you idiot. We say that flippantly. That's internal. So that can build stress. Like I always knock things over. I can't get it right. And you're building your anxiety and stress. So start speaking to yourself. No, you're not an idiot. I knocked something over. That's not who I am. That's what I did, small as it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Right.
So what we say to ourselves, whether it's internal or external, is huge, especially when we go through stressful situations. I know I was talking to one of my clients the other day and they get the biblical principle that, nothing stays the same. Everything is always in a state of flux. Everything's always changing, whether it's moving forward and there's positive change, or it's negative and you feel like, things are going backwards. There's no, you know, nothing stays the same. So I think it's important that when we are going through hard times and we're going through stressful situations, that some of the self-talk that we have is biblical, like
Yes.
this too shall pass.
Mhm.
Something as simple as saying that to yourself. It's not always going to be like this. This too shall pass. I am in a very stressful situation right now. It's not always going to be this way. I'm going to get through it. God is for me. He's not against me. So, like you said, using scripture to talk to yourself through the stress is very valuable.
And there's another thing that, it can be helpful to say to yourself, okay, there's not bad days, there's bad moments in a day. So not every moment of the day is going to be bad. So you can, and I've had to do that many times, comfort myself with, there may have been a lot of bad moments today, but it wasn't the whole day, all day. So I have things to be thankful for, and I can encourage myself.
Yeah, and if you have the tendency towards negativity, I could see where you could set yourself up for a completely negative day instead of just having a negative moment.
And
Because now, okay, that has just set the tone for my whole day. My whole day is ruined. I mean, you can just hear it.
right.
Self-talk.
Yeah, and you don't create things out of your thoughts, but you will follow what you're thinking.
Yeah,
You will
we
follow.
can sabotage. We can sabotage the rest of the day.
Right.
And like, okay, that was a stressful moment. That was a stressful situation. But now I'm on the other side of it. But have you acknowledged the fact that you're on the other side of it? Or are you setting yourself up for more stress for the rest of the day because of the negativity in your head? That's good. So what are some other tools? I mean, one of the things I was thinking about, because we were talking about body, soul, spirit, and the soul makes up your mind and emotions. So we're talking a lot about that too. Like, okay, the self-talk, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? All of that. Okay, so let's say some of those feelings are stirring, and then the physiological part of this, because our body reacts to the stress. So I think doing some things in the physical realm could actually help us, right? So you mentioned going for a walk, getting out in the sun. What are some other things, the physical? I'm thinking about a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you have the capacity, do something hard to get that stress out. Maybe it's a hard workout. Maybe it's a cold plunge. There's a number of things you could do, but do something that requires a little bit of effort. When you expend or expend your physical effort, that will bring the stress down as well, because you're depleted.
Okay, so some people are like, what in the world is that? And what are you saying? Cold plunge? Like, what are you going to make, put my whole body in cold water? Yeah, that's good for inflammation. Probably good for the emotional health too.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just can't. I know you're into that and you do it. You jump at the pool in the morning and it's what, 50 degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah, even our pool is not heated, so cold plunge. So we're gonna have probably one of those available here for people to take advantage of, because that's gonna help them mentally, emotionally, and physically, especially with getting that inflammation down. And people don't realize that if they're carrying this level of stress for a long period of time, their body is so inflamed, and inflammation leads to disease.
Right. There's a book a number of years ago that Dr. Don Colbert wrote, a fantastic book called Deadly Emotions. And there's another book out called The Body Keeps the Score, which is more recent. But Don showed all these stats of, we're carrying around anger, we're carrying around, whatever the emotion is, and it's literally eating our body. It's eating our heart. It's eating our brain. So that's, to level that out is so key, because it just keeps stacking. And then all of a sudden you're sick and you don't know why. It was actually because of those 1,000 cuts I mentioned, all these stressors over time that weren't dealt with.
I was thinking about, Chinese medicine. We've been learning a little bit more about that, because one of the functional doctors that we met at one of the conferences that we went to, he's totally into that. He's also a chiropractor, but a lot of his podcasts and his webinars, really focus on, the type of emotion you carry in your liver, or there's so many things that they can pick up on depending on how the body's reacting to life overall, because they're, fatty liver disease. Okay, well, why do you have fatty liver disease? Okay, yeah, there's dietary things that you can do and make changes, but there's also this emotional connection, so different parts of the body carry different emotions. And so it's like, it's crazy.
Right.
So very important.
Yeah. And another thing I just would suggest is I call it like 5 minutes of fun. Do something you love to do during the day. If it's your, playing guitar, piano, artwork, writing, just fill that 5 minutes in with that, and it'll really help. I know when I've done classes and seminars, sometimes I'll take a bag of toys and I'll throw it out, and I'll say, pick one up. Somebody pick up a truck or a doll or little drum, whatever it is, and I'll ask, well, why did you pick that up? I say, I love that as a child. Well, why did you love that as a child? We have a bent towards certain things. It might be the dump truck. It might be the drum. It's something that, is within us. And so, well, why did you, and why are you doing that now? Well, that was when I was a child. Well, there's a reason it was there, and it's not going back to being childish, but childlike. That was there for a reason. So pick that up. You might not do it for a career. It might just be for a hobby, or it might, could be the 5 minutes of fun a day. But if you fill that in, that's really going to re-regulate some emotion.
Yeah, that's so good. I think that, and again, going back to defining terms. So like fun for me might be different than what you would say would be fun. And I use this example when I talk to people specifically about days of rest and Sabbath rest and what that looks like, because everyone has a different interpretation and definition of what Sabbath rest it looks like.
Right.
And it's different for all of us. So for me, something that would be fun or peaceful, restful could be something like going out in the yard and tending to my flowers, or even weeding.
Right. Right.
So for somebody else, they look at that and they hear me say that, oh yeah, oh, that was fun and enjoyable, and I felt refreshed because I did that. Man, that sounds like work to me. You got to be kidding me. You thought that was fun? See how different we are? So you find out what is going to de-stress you and what promotes fun for you. So again, experiment.
Yeah, even taking out the trash. No, never mind. No, that's a people pleasing thing, but
that's not fun. We know that. That's not fun.
No.
Being outside, maybe just
you can't make it
fun. Yeah. So those are all good. So incorporating some fun during the day. The couple of other things that I thought of that were stress related and also kind of overlaps with like feelings of anxiety. I think deep breathing exercises are huge.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. But one that I teach in our fitness exercise classes, which we have them here every other or twice a month on a Sunday. And we do those outside here in Southwest Florida. And then I also do one via Zoom in Michigan on Monday evenings. We'll put that underneath in comments as well. But one of the things that I teach on a regular basis is diaphragmatic breathing, using your diaphragm. And even Dr. Amen was talking about this the other day when we were listening to an interview that he was doing with someone. I can't remember who was interviewing him. Oh, Ed Milet.
Yes.
He was interviewing him. So I think with him, he was doing something like, use your diaphragm, so the belly should be rising and falling. So when it rises, it should protrude. And most singers know this, or people who play an instrument that they're using the breath, like a trumpet or a flute. So you understand the value of using your diaphragm. Well, this also helps you emotionally and mentally. So if you inhale slowly and then you hold the breath for like 1 or 2 counts, and then you slowly exhale the breath, and then it's belly button to spine. So again, you're using your diaphragm, you're filling both of your lungs up fully, and then exhaling slowly, and belly button to spine, just eliminating, and then detox happens there too. So if you kind of push that breath out just a little bit at the end and then keep doing that. So Dr. Amen recommends that you do that slow diaphragmatic breath. I think he said 10 times for someone who's dealing with anxiety. So stress, anxiety, you could do that 10 times or just do it as much as you need to just calm your nervous system down. I'm telling you, it works. And at the same time, you are oxygenating your body, which promotes health.
Right.
So something as simple as breathing, deep breathing.
And everything we've talked about, it's free.
Right. It's not like you have to go, buy special pills or whatever.
That's right.
Well, this may be an investment. That's the second thing that I was thinking of, which is, more natural, but it's an investment. And that is investing in some really good, pure, organic, essential oils. I have worked with my clients and I've discovered that there are some that do very well with citrus aromatherapy, and that calms their nervous system, like orange oil. And then there are others that I've worked with, and they use like a lavender. And by the way, this is all proven. It's all scientific. It works. So lavender oil or the combination of frankincense and myrrh, that's really powerful. That's biblical, isn't it? Frankincense and myrrh. What did they bring to Jesus?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
good stuff. So aromatherapy, very helpful to de-stress and bring anxiety down.
Right. And, your mental, physical, spiritual health, it is an investment, but it's investing, not spending. We spend energy, time, and money on things that are destructive, that are not worth it. They're here and gone. But without the health, all the other things we want to do, we can't.
Right. And we are going to end up sick because the longer stress lingers and you're not working through it and getting back to that place of balance, you're going to end up, with all those levels of toxicity that build up in your body, and you're going to end up sick. Right. And we're trying to do some prevention here, and also to undo maybe some of the damage that's been done because of prolonged stress, or you didn't have the tools that you in order to get through it properly. And part of going back to the workshop that we've done in the past, one of the things that we learned along the way that we were trying to educate people on was this equation that's available to all of us. So, for example, you have this level of stress, then the second part of the equation is what you do with that stress equals how you're going to end up, basically. So if you don't have the second part of that equation, if you don't have some things that are in place to help you to get through it, and it's just stress, the end result is not going to be good. It will be problematic. So if we have some things in place, the stress comes, we use our tools, we get on the other side until the next stressful event happens. Otherwise, it ends up just like what we talked about earlier, and that's the pressure cooker: build up, explosion. And that's going to look differently for all of us. So let's not lose sight of a couple more tools. One, spiritually speaking, prayer.
Absolutely.
The power of prayer and meditation, that is biblical meditation. It's not about emptying your mind. It's about filling your mind with truth and filling your mind and your heart and just really, experiencing God and having that level of peace that passes understanding, because he promises that as we cast our cares, our anxieties, our stress on him, releasing those things to him. And then, sometimes I'll have my clients, and I'll even do this with the breath work. Just kind of close your eyes and just envision that you're taking in God's peace. And when you're exhaling slowly, you're releasing that stress, you're releasing those anxieties to him. Because bottom line is, a lot of the things that we fret about and we stress about and we worry about, there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
That's right.
So you need to give it to God.
Yeah, I was listening to a sermon last week, and the pastor was a guy named Joby Martin from Church of 1122 here in Jacksonville. Great pastor, but he said the word cast, almost means to chuck something, to get rid of it, to give it to God. And somebody that he was listening to said, what we do is we cast like it's a fishing line, and we bring it back in. We give it to God for a minute, and then we take it back, and that's not trust at all. It's a burden on us, and it's just, I believe it. It gets to a point where it's grieving to God, because He's saying, "I'll take these burdens. I've got this." And another thing that Joby has said is the three most dangerous words anybody can say is, "I've got this," because we take on all the stress ourselves. We can't do it. We cannot do it.
No.
Yeah.
No. And we were never created or designed to do it.
No. That's why the scripture tells us, lay aside every weight and the hindrances, the sin that so easily entangles us. Things that we don't even consider sin, they can entangle us. They are sin. It's the unbelief. It's the impatience, the rushing around, trying to take on everything. Those entangle us. And we're called to let go of those weights and just run to the finish line, run to the real goal.
Yeah. And so, going back to, and it goes with this, like even with your prayer and meditation time and your breath work or whatever you're choosing to do, in those moments, I think you could even visualize in your own mind, like, okay, what am I chucking into the sea? What is it that I'm envisioning, laying at the foot of the cross? Or even doing something kind of ritualistic that is helpful. That's part of a lot of the work that we do, like in our workshops and the retreats and the conferences that we do. We make them experiential, which means you're utilizing your senses to make this spiritual thing more of a reality to you as a human being, and it's powerful. And so you can just envision some of that. And then with meditation, meditating on the word. So do a study on worry and anxiety and stress, and then look at the counter. So pursue peace. Okay, what does that look like? And then those are the things that you can meditate on anytime that you find yourself in a stressful situation.
Right.
I was just thinking about the meditation too. I just want them to know that there's a lot of really good, solid, biblical meditations that you can find on YouTube that I share with my clients that are very, very helpful. So,
and if there's a situation going on in your life, go to the scriptures and find out what the scriptures say about it. What does God's word say about it? Instead of, okay, I've got to plow through the Bible in a year. Okay, God may be asking you to go a certain place because you're dealing with something, and meditate on that, chew on it, memorize it, and use those as weapons against the stress, the enemy.
Yeah.
We don't have to plow through scripture. It's not a speed reading contest. It's about relation, not obligation.
Get through the Bible though, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we were just talking about this the other day with a group of people that we were meeting with, and we were actually watching a sermon, and we had some worship time and discussion. But early on in my walk with Christ, I read through the Bible every year for many, many years, and I just mixed up different versions. And then I started extending it a little bit longer. So, because I was reading slower through it. And so sometimes it might take me a year and a half to get through the entire Bible. But what I'm finding is that the majority of Christians are not reading the Bibles, or they're New Testament Christians and they don't read the Old Testament. And you're missing out on some significant attributes of God. And, Jesus is throughout the Old Testament. So we have to read our Bibles cover to cover and read them again and again and again and again. But you're right, in slowing down, you can do topical study. You can take like a book of the Bible and just dig in more deeply. But I just want to put that out there. If you want to eradicate some stress in your life and some worry and learn how to trust God more, get in your word and read it and meditate on it, and then apply it to the situation that you're finding yourself in.
Right, and take a look at this too, and this can be a hard one, but screen time versus scripture time. Audit yourself there and get real honest.
Mhm.
We probably spend a lot more time scrolling than we do in scripture. So
Yeah.
we're even looking for answers on TikTok. We're looking for answers on Facebook.
Mhm.
They're not there
Instagram.
unless it's biblical, of course. But yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's kind of just give like an overview just of the list of things that we talked about that would help people with their stress. So what were the physical ones? We'll start with that.
Yeah, we talked about walking,
So
do something
fitness,
hard.
working out, do
Yeah.
something hard,
Mhm. Yeah,
essential oils. Okay, so that would be something in the physical, so body, what the soul, the mind and emotions. So renewing the mind, talked about getting into the word,
speaking to yourself instead of listening to yourself.
meditation, your self-talk, monitor your self-talk. Oh, the fills and drains you that would probably go with any
Yeah.
of these, body, soul, or spirit. Same
Absolutely.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And then in the spirit, we just kind of laid the foundation for that, about getting
Right.
into the truth, spending time with God, listening for his still small voice, letting him guide and direct us,
Yeah.
leading us through these stressful situations.
Right. And even one more I would suggest that's really powerful is, what kind of environment are you around?
Oh,
What kind of relations do you have? Do you have people that are, they're pulling you down or they're lifting you up? Do you have to drag them along, or, different, even a work situation? I know sometimes we can't change that, but a lot of times we can. We there's options. So really, dial in on that too. What kind of environment am I around, or am I creating?
and the relationships, like
Yeah.
you said, that's critical, because we talk about Jesus as the example, and he had his inner circle.
Mhm.
And then the next level was like the 12, and then the 21, and then the outer. And then realizing that there are three kinds of people that we need to have in our life, right? The ones that, are pouring into us, the ones that we're pouring into, and then those that are just mutual
Mhm.
reciprocal relationships as we're walking along in this life. So I'm finding that more and more people are very isolated, and I think that was happening even long before COVID. But I think COVID really created this level of anxiety and stress and lack of relational connection that we're still trying to come out of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully this has been helpful.
Yeah.
Lots of little nuggets and things for people to
Yeah.
think about.
And even in your inner circle, consider, I know family is a big deal, family dynamics, family relations. And you can still have those boundaries in your family. It doesn't have to be walls, it can be boundaries. So, let's face it, we all have a weird Uncle Bob, right? Okay. We might see him on the holidays, but we can work with that too. If he drains me, I'm gonna find a way to, I might not be able to avoid him, but I'm gonna find a way to maybe, kind of level that out. So that's another thing to consider, because family dynamics are huge.
Yeah, and again, going back to what our limitations are, depending on how God has wired us and the current season of life that we're in. Sometimes you can take more than others, and just know what those are.
Yeah.
And monitor yourself, be self-aware. That is critical.
Yeah. And if you do say, no, I can't make it, or I can't do that right now, stop there. You don't have to explain yourself, even with family issues. You don't have to, a lot of times we apologize, we over
Or we feel like we have
don't
to
need
have
to
an
do that.
excuse for whatever.
That's right.
It's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
Right.
And your reasons are your reasons. You don't have to explain that to anyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Hopefully this was helpful to those of you who are listening. And again, everything that we talked about here that I mentioned that we put into the comments, I'll make sure that we add those. If you're in the Southwest Florida area, we'd love to have you come February 21st. And we're also doing a women's conference that will be coming up in April here in Southwest Florida. And we will have one in May in Michigan, the end of May. And in between, we'll just be adding all kinds of stuff. And if they want to reach out to us, our contact information is below too. So counseling, coaching, love to help you.
Yeah, and there's a lot coming up this year, so be checking back frequently. There's going to be some things that are unfolding right now at a ground level, so to speak, that are going to be just amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Until next time.
Be real.